So here we have the midpoint of a segment. So this chapter is broken up into two sections. First one is how to find the distance between 2 points on a number line and a coordinate plane, and also how to find the midpoint of a segment, right? And to find the midpoint of a segment, we find the midpoint of a segment on a number line. That's this equation here, or this expression. And then we have the midpoint on a coordinate plane. So in 1 dimensions and in 2 dimensions. We're either going to use this formula or this expression here. Okay, so how do we do it? It's on a number line, it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2. On a coordinate plane, it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2 as a point. So let's go ahead and look at example 1. This is a number line, so we're going to be using this first formula. And so it's x1, which is -3, plus x2, which is 1 at q, right? At q. Oh, I'm sorry, well, 1, and we're going to divide by 2. So that's equal to -2 divided by 2. It's equal to -1. And you can see here that -1 is the midpoint between these 2 points, right? So it works. Okay. So now let's go ahead and try example 2. It's the midpoint in a coordinate plane. And so here's our x1, y1, x2, y2, and we'll plug them in to find our midpoint point. So it's going to equal to -2 plus 4 over 2. And then we got 4 plus 1. So 4 plus 1 over 2, like so. And we'll simplify. So we get 2 over 2, comma 5 over 2, like so. We can simplify further over here, right? And we can say 1, comma 2 and 1 half. Yeah, so that's our midpoint point in M. Yeah, between P and Q. So we got some practice problems here. And why don't we go ahead and go through some of them, right? This is a number line, so we're going to be using the x1 plus x2 over 2 expression. So we got dg is 0 and 8. So 0, so midpoint is equal to 0 plus 8 over 2. It's equal to 8 over 2. It's equal to 4. All right. And de is 0 and 2. So it's going to be midpoint is equal to 0 plus 2 over 2. It's equal to 2 over 2. It's equal to 1. Okay, and then we have the coordinate plane, right? So midpoint between the 2 points, and so for this one we need to use the x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2 over 2, like so. We need to use this expression, and so here's our x1, y1, x2, y2. Right. So we'll go ahead and add this up. So it'll be 0 midpoint is equal to 0 plus 12 over 2. And then 0 plus 8 over 2. So it's going to equal to 12 over 2 and 8 over 2. So that's going to equal to 6 comma 4, like so. Okay, so over here, let's go ahead and try it again. We got the midpoint is equal to x1, which is 10, plus 9, our x1 over 2. And then we got -22 plus 10 over 2 for our y and our y1 and y2. Right. So we'll go ahead and simplify, and we get 19 over 2 and -12 over 2. We'll simplify that, and we'll get, let's see, 9 and 1 half. And then over here, it'll be -6, like so. Okay. Right, so we have our 2 star questions, and maybe I can go over this, right? So what we can do to find out the coordinates of the missing endpoints if E is the midpoint of DF, right? We're trying to find the missing endpoint if E, this point here, which is what they give us, is the midpoint of DF. So here we have D and F, and we have E is our midpoint. Right? So what we can say here is X midpoint x midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2. Right. And our x1 is 5, and our x2 we don't know. Right? We don't know the f. This is a question mark. But we need to know xm. It's E. E is the midpoint. So we're going to say 4 is equal to 5 plus x2 over 2. Right? And we'll go ahead and solve this. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2, and we'll get 8 is equal to 5 plus x2. We'll subtract the 5 from both sides. We'll get 3 is equal to x2. Alright, now we find our y the same way. We say y sub m is equal to y1 plus y2 over 2. Well, we have our ym, it's the e's y, right? So we got 3 is equal to, and we have the y1, it's the 8. So we get 8 plus y2 over 2. And then we solve for y2 by multiplying both sides by 2. We get 6 is equal to 8 plus y2. Subtract 8 from both sides, we get negative 2 is equal to y2. So what's our midpoint point? What's our end point here? F. We could say here, maybe we could write it on the top, we could say F is 3, the x we found, and negative 2, the y we found. Right. So maybe I could just stop there, and I could leave number 6 for you to do on your own using that same method. And then the last one is what's the perimeter of this quadrilateral, right? RSTU. And how do we draw this quadrilateral? It's in order, so it'd be RSTU, like so, right? And so how do we find the perimeter? Well, the perimeter is how long it takes to walk around the shape, right? So we start at R, it's like, oh, we walked 5, then we walked 2, then we walked 5, then we walked 2. Well, then the perimeter would be 14, right? It'd be the distance around the entire shape. So how can we solve this problem? Well, we can use the distance formula, right? To find the distance between R and S, add that to the distance from S to T, add that to the distance from T to U, and then add that to the distance from U to R, and that will give us the perimeter of the quadrilateral. I'll go ahead and leave that work for you to do on your own, and we'll end the video here.